They call me Dr. Harold Emmons. I'm no longer in practice. I retired nearly a decade ago after more than 40 years of working as an internal medicine physician. But some things won't let you rest, even in retirement. You see, after spending a lifetime watching people walk into my office with illnesses that could have been prevented: strokes, heart attacks, chronic inflammation, even cancer, I can't sit idle anymore. Let me tell you something that most people don't want to hear, but desperately need to. Your health doesn't vanish in a dramatic moment. It erodes, silently, while you sleep. That pain in your chest, that fog in your brain, that fatigue that no coffee seems to fix, they don't appear out of nowhere. They're the quiet consequence of choices made each night, often when we believe the day is done. And that's why I want to talk to you about something so deceptively simple, so utterly ordinary, that most people wouldn't give it a second thought. The fruit sitting in your kitchen, or the one you pass by in the grocery store: pomegranate. Yes, pomegranate. It sounds unremarkable, doesn't it? Maybe you've tried it, maybe you haven't, maybe you think of it as a trendy juice or something exotic your neighbor puts in a salad. But what if I told you that this unassuming fruit holds a kind of quiet power? That it could be one of the most overlooked keys to improving the way your body repairs, recovers, and defends itself, especially while you sleep. You might be thinking, come on, Doc, a fruit? Really? Yes, really. Because after years of reading blood panels, interpreting heart scans, and sitting with patients who wondered why their bodies were breaking down, I started to notice something unsettling. The breakdown didn't start in hospitals. It started in kitchens, in grocery aisles, in midnight snacks, and eating habits that either built health or destroyed it. The hours before bed are sacred. They're when your body prepares to heal, to cleanse, to regenerate. But we rarely treat them that way. We fill our nights with sugar, with stress, with screens. We go to bed inflamed, overstimulated, undernourished, and then we wonder why we wake up groggy. Why our blood pressure spikes, why our skin looks dull, why we feel older than we are. But what if you could change that? Not with a pill, not with a cleanse, but with something as simple as eating half a cup of pomegranate in the evening. What if one changed something so basic it almost seems laughable could reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, improve memory, aid digestion, and even enhance your sleep? Now, I'm not selling a miracle. I'm too old for magic, but I believe in science. I believe in small habits practiced consistently. And I believe that when you understand what your body truly needs, at the right time you begin to reclaim control over your health in ways that no prescription ever could. Pomegranate isn't just a fruit, it's a pharmacy wrapped in red skin. Every seed, every drop of juice is a biological whisper telling your cells to repair, to fight, to rest. Especially at night, especially when the world quiets down and your body is ready to listen. But there's more, because as powerful as this fruit is, it's not for everyone. In some cases, it can interfere with medications. For others, it might trigger digestive issues or worsen acid reflux. That's why, tonight, I'm going to take you deeper, not just into the benefits, but also the risks. You'll learn who should eat it, who shouldn't, and exactly how to use it safely and effectively. This isn't a trendy diet tip. This is decades of clinical observation boiled down into one simple truth. What you eat before you sleep can either restore you or slowly destroy you. If you've ever felt like your body was working against you ... If you've ever wondered why you're doing everything right, but still not feeling your best ... If you've ever feared that your health might be slipping away quietly in the background ... then listen closely. Because this one fruit, this one small choice, might be the shift your body has been begging you to make. Before we begin this journey, I'd like to ask for something small in return. If you find value in what I'm sharing, decades of hard-won insight, distilled into plain, practical guidance, please support this channel by subscribing. It allows us to keep doing this work, to keep reaching people who've been let down by quick fixes and need something real. And now, a question for you, something to reflect on. Something to help you look at your own habits in a new light. If you could choose only one nightly ritual to support your long-term health, which would you choose? Spend an extra hour scrolling through your phone in bed, watching one more video, answering one more email. Take 10 minutes to nourish your body with something that heals from the inside out. then sleep in total darkness? Leave your answer or be in the comments, not just for me, for yourself. Let's see who's really ready to take back their health starting tonight. When I was still practicing medicine, one of the most painful patterns I witnessed was the slow unraveling of health in people who genuinely wanted to do better, but never quite knew where to start. They were not lazy, they were not reckless. They were just overwhelmed, bombarded with conflicting advice, drowning in miracle diets, overpriced supplements, and overnight promises that never delivered. That's why, after all these years, I've come to believe that the best medicine is often not in the pharmacy, it's in the produce aisle. Tonight, I want to tell you why pomegranate, especially when consumed before bedtime, holds remarkable potential for your body. Not in the way flashy advertisements claim, but in a quiet, cellular way, one that supports your organs, your mind, your immune system. This isn't about trends, it's about timeless, science-backed nourishment. You see, pomegranate is not just rich in nutrients, it's rich in intelligence. Nature packed into this one fruit a collection of compounds that speak directly to the deepest systems in your body. When consumed at night, while your system enters a natural state of repair and reset, the effects become even more profound. Let me begin with the heart. For decades, I treated patients for hypertension, heart disease, and stroke. It often starts with oxidative stress damage caused by free radicals to blood vessels. Pomegranate is brimming with polyphenols, potent antioxidants that fight this very process. Research has shown that drinking pomegranate juice regularly can lower systolic blood pressure and improve cholesterol ratios. But what's even more compelling is this: when consumed in the evening, these nutrients work in sync with your body's circadian rhythm. Your cardiovascular system gets a chance to restore itself while you rest. It's like offering your heart a soft pillow, a moment to breathe easier in the quiet of night. Then there's the matter of cancer. I hesitate to use the word lightly. Cancer has taken to many of my friends, to many of my patients. But science is science, and we must follow it. Studies have shown that pomegranate extract can slow the growth of certain cancer cells, particularly in breast and prostate cancers. The compounds responsible, ellagic acid and punicalagins, don't cure cancer, but they interfere with the way cancer cells grow, even encouraging those cells to self-destruct through a process known as apoptosis. That kind of support is subtle, but deeply important. Every night you nourish your body with foods that reduce oxidative stress, you're making it harder for disease to take hold. And what about the gut? A healthy digestive system is not just about avoiding discomfort, it's foundational to everything else. When your digestion is sluggish or inflamed, your body struggles to absorb nutrients, regulate hormones, even balance mood. Pomegranate, thanks to its rich fiber content, supports regular bowel movements. But that's only the beginning. It also acts as a prebiotic, feeding the beneficial bacteria in your gut. The gut is sometimes called the second brain, and it earns the name. What you feed it determines how well you think, feel, and heal. A small bowl of pomegranate in the evening is like sending your gut flora an overnight care package. Inflammation, that silent saboteur of long-term health, is next on the list. I spent years trying to manage chronic inflammation in patients with arthritis, autoimmune conditions, and fatigue. And over time, I noticed that those who changed their diet, who introduced anti-inflammatory foods, improved far more than those who relied solely on medication. Pomegranate is a natural anti-inflammatory. It contains anthocyanins and punicalagins that reduce inflammatory markers in the blood. Think of it as nature's aspirin, only without the side effects. Let's talk now about blood pressure again, a condition so common I could predict it walking into a room. Pomegranate juice enhances nitric oxide production, which relaxes blood vessels and improves circulation. Combined with its ability to reduce arterial stiffness, this effect is especially valuable at night when your body is recalibrating for the next day. A small glass of pomegranate juice before bed isn't just refreshing, it's quietly therapeutic. Then there's the mind. I've sat across from patients in their 50s and 60s who feared the onset of memory loss more than any physical pain. And I understood why. Losing your clarity, your memories, your sense of self, that's terrifying. But studies have shown that pomegranate's polyphenols can protect brain cells from oxidative stress and inflammation, both of which are implicated in cognitive decline. In one clinical trial, older adults who consumed pomegranate daily showed marked improvements in verbal and visual memory. It's not magic, but it's hope, grounded in evidence. Your skin, too, is a mirror of your internal health. When I worked in practice, I could often guess someone's diet by the condition of their skin. Pomegranate, rich in vitamin C and antioxidants, promotes collagen production and helps fight the effects of UV radiation. While you sleep, its nutrients support cell regeneration, reduce inflammation, and gradually bring back that natural glow. It's skin care from the inside out, no fancy creams required. The immune system is another silent warrior we often ignore until it fails us. Pomegranate, in just a single serving, provides nearly a third of your daily vitamin C needs, along with other immune-supporting nutrients like vitamins E and K. A consistent nighttime dose helps prepare your body to defend itself while you rest. And the body fights best when it's not distracted, when it's resting, healing, processing. Now let me speak, briefly, to those managing blood sugar. This fruit, despite its sweetness, has a low glycemic index and is high in fiber, 2 factors that help prevent the sharp spikes that can lead to long-term insulin resistance. For those with prediabetes or even type 2 diabetes, a moderate serving of pomegranate in the evening may help keep fasting glucose levels in check. But moderation is key, always, and yes, even sexual health is not left untouched. Erectile dysfunction, though rarely talked about openly, is more common than most realize. And its roots are often vascular, not psychological. Pomegranate helps by improving blood flow and protecting the endothelium, the inner lining of blood vessels. One study found that men who drank pomegranate juice daily saw improvements in erectile function over time. It's not a cure, but it's a nudge in the right direction. Finally, we arrive at sleep, perhaps the most undervalued medicine of all. Melatonin, the hormone that governs your sleep-wake cycle, is present naturally in pomegranates. When consumed before bed, especially in juice form, it may enhance the body's own melatonin levels, helping you fall asleep more easily and stay asleep longer. And when your sleep improves, so does everything else: your mood, your memory, your metabolism, your immune function. All of this from a fruit you can hold in your hand. I don't say these things lightly. I say them after a lifetime of watching lives unravel slowly, quietly, from things no one ever warned my patients about. So if you're looking for a sign, for something small you can do tonight that your future self will thank you for, this is it. Eat the fruit, drink the juice, let your body begin the healing process nature intended. Not with noise, not with rush, but with something ancient, simple, and wise. When I practiced medicine full-time, one of the questions I grew to love most from my patients was a simple one. Okay, doc, but how do I actually do this? I always appreciated that moment. It meant someone was serious, not just curious, not just inspired, but ready to act. Over the years, I realized that the difference between those who improved their health and those who didn't rarely came down to information. It came down to application, the how, the when. The small, intentional choices. So now that you understand the power of pomegranates, especially when used as part of your nighttime ritual, let me give you what I know works, grounded not in theory, but in practice. These are the methods I've seen help people make a lasting difference, quietly but profoundly, one evening at a time. Let's begin with the most basic but often overlooked truth. How you consume something is just as important as what you consume. It's not enough to know that pomegranates are good for you. You must understand the form, the timing, the portion, and even the pairing that allows this fruit to deliver its full benefits. Start with the fruit itself, the arils, or the fresh seeds inside the ruby skin. This is, without a doubt, the purest and most nutrient-dense way to consume pomegranate. When you eat the arils, you get everything: the fiber, the juice, the antioxidants, the subtle sugars, all in their natural balance. I've always encouraged patients to eat food in as close to its original form as possible. It's how nature designed it, and nature tends to know what it's doing. But for many, especially those with busy lives or older hands not suited to digging out seeds from thick rinds, pomegranate juice becomes a more convenient alternative, and that's fine if you do it right. The market is flooded with pomegranate drinks masquerading as juice. They're often diluted, filled with added sugars, or blended with cheaper fruit juices to cut cost. That's not what we want. If you're going to drink pomegranate juice, it needs to be 100% pure. Organic if possible, cold-pressed if you can find it. No added sugars, no blends, no flavor enhancers, just the fruit, nothing else. Now let's talk quantity, because this is where many well-meaning people go wrong. More is not always better. In fact, when it comes to nutrition, excess often becomes counterproductive. For fresh arrows, a half cup roughly the size of your palm is a solid evening portion. It delivers the polyphenols and fiber your body needs without overwhelming your digestive system before bed. For juice, about 5 to 7 ounces is enough. That's roughly 150 to 200 milliliters, or a small glass, not a tumbler, not a sports bottle. Just enough to let your body absorb the nutrients and put them to work during the night. Another important factor one many people never consider is what you eat with it, or rather, what you don't. I often advise patients not to treat pomegranate like dessert. Don't combine it with cakes or ice cream or heavy meals. The sugars, even the natural ones, are best digested slowly, not alongside a flood of fats or refined carbohydrates. If you're hungry, consider pairing the arrows with something like plain Greek yogurt, unsweetened almond milk, or a few soaked nuts. These combinations not only slow down digestion, helping your body absorb the nutrients more effectively, but they also stabilize blood sugar, which is particularly helpful at night. And of course, timing matters. Don't eat it right before bed. Your digestive system, like the rest of your body, needs time to prepare for rest. Ideally, you should consume your pomegranate about an hour to 90 minutes before sleep. That gives your body time to begin digestion without interrupting the deeper phases of rest. Think of it as setting the stage. Dim the lights, reduce the noise, and nourish your body one last time before it slips into its nightly restoration. There's also a ritualistic benefit to this timing. Something happens when you give yourself permission to wind down with intention, when eating isn't rushed or reactive, but conscious and calm. I've seen patients heal not just from what they ate, but from how they ate, from the grace they gave themselves in those last moments of the day. A slow evening, a bowl of pomegranate, a few deep breaths, maybe a stretch or a prayer, and suddenly the whole body cooperates with rest. That kind of routine is medicine all on its own. Now, you might be wondering if this should be a daily habit, and my answer is this. Your body loves consistency, but it also loves balance. If pomegranate becomes part of your nightly rhythm, that's wonderful. But don't treat it as a magic bullet. It's one powerful tool in a larger toolbox. If one night you don't have access to it, don't panic. The key is to listen to your body and maintain variety. Health is a symphony, not a solo. And lastly, remember that even the healthiest food can have limits. For some people, those on certain medications, those with allergies, or those prone to digestive issues, pomegranate may need to be approached more carefully. I'll speak more about that in another segment, but for now, I'll simply say, always respect your body's signals. If something doesn't feel right, pause. Ask questions, seek guidance. That's wisdom, not weakness. In all my years, what I've come to understand is this. True healing isn't found in big, dramatic changes. It's found in the small, consistent choices we make, like choosing fresh over processed, choosing presence over rush, choosing nourishment over neglect. A half cup of pomegranate before bed won't change your life overnight. But do it again and again, as a quiet offering to your health, and you may just find that your mornings become brighter, your energy steadier, your sleep deeper. You don't need a radical transformation. You need something real, something you can do tonight. That's how you consume pomegranates the right way, thoughtfully, intentionally, with respect for what your body does while you sleep. And when you treat your body with that kind of care, it usually responds in kind, quietly, faithfully, one night at a time. In my years as a physician, I learned something essential, something that separates good doctors from great ones. It's the ability to say no just as confidently as we say yes, because not every remedy is right for every person. Even the most wholesome, natural, and beneficial foods can become problematic in the wrong context. I've always believed that our role in medicine isn't just to promote what heals, but to protect people from what may harm. Even when it comes in the form of something as seemingly innocent as a piece of fruit, pomegranate is powerful. I've already shared my thoughts on how it can support heart health, sleep, memory, and more. But tonight, I want to speak with just as much clarity about the people for whom this fruit, this red gem of the produce world, might not be the best choice, at least not without caution. The first group that comes to mind is those who are taking prescription medications. I can't tell you how many times patients sat across from me with bags full of pills, each one prescribed by a different specialist, none of them communicating with one another. It's a dangerous game. Mixing compounds without understanding how they interact, and food is a compound too. Pomegranate, in particular, has been shown to affect the way the liver metabolizes certain medications. It interacts with cytochrome P450 enzymes, which are responsible for breaking down many common drugs, including statins used to lower cholesterol, blood pressure medications, and anticoagulants like warfarin. When you inhibit these enzymes, the medication can build up in the bloodstream, potentially causing overdose-level effects even at a normal dose. I once had a patient, let's call him Thomas, a kind, disciplined man who was doing everything right, eating clean, exercising, meditating, but after introducing pomegranate juice into his daily routine, his blood pressure medications suddenly became too strong. He experienced dizziness and fatigue, and it took weeks to piece together what had changed. It wasn't the pills, it was the fruit. The liver had slowed its work, and the drug had stayed in his system longer than expected. So if you're on medication, particularly any that affect the heart, blood, or liver, please consult your physician before adding pomegranate to your routine. Even natural compounds must be respected. Then there are those who suffer from allergies. Though rare, pomegranate allergy is real. I've seen cases in both children and adults. It often presents not with hives or anaphylaxis, but with milder symptoms: itchy throat, stomach discomfort, headaches, or facial swelling. Because it's a lesser-known allergen, people often don't suspect the fruit. They'll blame the meal or think they're coming down with something. If you experience any unusual symptoms after consuming pomegranate, don't dismiss them. Your body speaks in subtle ways before it ever screams. Listen early. Another group that must be cautious are those with sensitive digestive systems. Pomegranate is high in fiber, which in most cases is a wonderful thing, but not for everyone. For people with irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, or simply a delicate gastrointestinal tract, a sudden increase in fiber, especially in the evening, can trigger bloating, gas, or cramping. I remember a woman, Ruth, in her late 60s. She wanted to improve her gut health naturally and had read about the benefits of fiber. She began eating pomegranate arils every night. Within a week, she came to me in tears, thinking she had developed a serious illness. It wasn't disease, it was overenthusiasm. Her body wasn't ready for the fiber load. We adjusted the dose, spread it out across the day, and the symptoms disappeared. The lesson: introduce even healthy foods gradually. Let your body catch up to your intentions, and then there's the matter of blood sugar. Now, I've said before that pomegranates have a low glycemic index, and that's true. But that doesn't mean they have no impact on glucose levels. For those managing diabetes, especially with insulin or glucose-lowering medications, consuming fruit juices of any kind, including pomegranate, can still cause blood sugar fluctuations. This is especially important at night, when you won't be as active and your body may not metabolize sugars as quickly. I've seen nighttime hypoglycemia sneak up on well-controlled diabetics who thought a natural juice was safe. It is, but only in moderation, and always paired with mindful monitoring. Finally, a group often overlooked: individuals suffering from acid reflux or gastroesophageal reflux disease. Pomegranate is acidic. Not as much as citrus, perhaps, but acidic enough to trigger symptoms in those with compromised esophageal function. If you've ever experienced that burning sensation in your chest after a late-night snack, you know what I mean. Lying down after consuming acidic food or drink is a recipe for discomfort, and for some people, even small amounts of pomegranate juice before bed can lead to that unwelcome fire in the throat. So what should we take from all of this? That pomegranate is dangerous? Absolutely not, but it is potent. And anything potent, whether a drug, a food, or even an idea, requires discernment. Health is not one size fits all, it never has been. As a physician, I never treated numbers, I treated people with histories, with reactions, with biochemistry that didn't always fit the textbook. That's why I encourage everyone to approach even the healthiest choices with curiosity and caution. Ask questions, notice patterns, and most of all, don't assume that because something is natural, it is universally good. I once had a mentor, a brilliant old doctor who practiced medicine long before I did, who told me, the best medicine is personalized. I didn't understand the depth of that statement until decades later. You are not a statistic, you are a living, breathing, adapting organism. What heals one person may harm another. That's not failure, that's biology. So if you're thinking of adding pomegranate to your nighttime routine, I applaud your intention, truly, but I ask you to do it with care. Review your medications, check your digestion. Be mindful of your blood sugar, pay attention to your body's whispers, not just its screams, because real health isn't just about adding more of what's good. It's about knowing what's right for you. And sometimes, the greatest wisdom lies not in saying yes, but in knowing when to pause, to adjust, to wait. That kind of wisdom isn't just medical, it's deeply human. And it's what I hope to pass on, from my years in white coats and exam rooms, into your hands tonight. I've walked hospital corridors at 2 a.m, listening to the low hum of machines and the occasional creak of footsteps in sterile silence. I've watched families pray through the night for a heartbeat to stabilize, for a lab result to come back clean. And I've stood beside patients who looked up at me and asked the question that still breaks me every time, "Doctor, is there anything I could have done sooner?" It's a question that comes too late for too many. But if you're listening to me now, it's not too late for you. You see, most people think of disease as something that strikes without warning suddenly, brutally. But in truth, it rarely does. Most illness begins as a whisper, not a scream. A slow unraveling of systems that were once in harmony. 1,000 small moments when your body asked for help, and you didn't know how to answer. That's the part no one teaches us, not in schools, not in most clinics. And that's why I've made it my mission, even in retirement, to speak to anyone who's willing to listen. Tonight, I've been speaking about something deceptively simple, the pomegranate, a fruit. A seed-laced, crimson orb that most people overlook on the grocery shelf or consider only when it's in season or pressed into juice. But what I've tried to show you is that within that fruit lies something more than flavor. It's a metaphor for how health works. Quiet, cumulative, patient, unassuming, until it isn't. Pomegranate isn't a cure-all. I'd be the last doctor to promise miracles from a single bite of food, but what it represents matters. It represents choice, it represents intention. It represents the powerful idea that we are not as powerless as we think, that even in the smallest, most ordinary acts, we are either moving toward health or away from it. That's what I want you to carry with you after tonight. Not just the science, not just the data, but the quiet conviction that your health is built, not inherited, not stumbled upon, but built, choice by choice, day by day. Or perhaps more accurately, night by night. The end of the day is sacred in ways we've forgotten. In the past, when the sun went down, life slowed. Families gathered, meals were lighter, the body was allowed to rest. These days, we fill our nights with noise, screens, stress, stimulants, and we wonder why our mornings are filled with exhaustion and inflammation. But you don't have to follow that path, you can choose a different rhythm. You can reclaim the night as a time for healing, not harm. That's what a fruit like pomegranate helps you do. Not just nourish your body, but mark a shift. A declaration. Tonight, I choose care over convenience. I choose stillness over stimulation. I choose to support my body, not just survive in it. Because here's the truth, I wish every patient knew before they ever walked through my door, health doesn't begin in a crisis. It begins in the quiet, unremarkable routines you repeat. A cup of water when you wake, a breath before you react, a handful of seeds before you sleep. That's where it all starts, and it's not about being perfect. Perfection is a lie that keeps people stuck. What matters is consistency, compassion, and a willingness to keep choosing what supports you, even when no one is watching, even when it's not glamorous. A half cup of pomegranate at night may not feel revolutionary, but I assure you, over time, those small acts accumulate. They shape your energy, your resilience, your mood, your sleep, your skin, your strength. I've spent a lifetime watching both miracles and tragedies unfold. And what I know is this: the people who fare best are rarely the ones with the strongest genes or the best insurance. They are the ones who show up for themselves every day in small, meaningful ways. They are the ones who ask questions, who stay curious, who refuse to hand over their health to chance or habit. So let me ask you, just one last time, what are you doing tonight? Will you scroll mindlessly, eat whatever's easy, collapse into bed without a thought? Or will you pause, breathe, and make one small choice in your own favor? Maybe it's cutting the TV earlier, maybe it's walking instead of sitting. Or maybe it's as simple as peeling open a pomegranate and letting nature do what it does best: restore. You have more power than you think. Not all at once, not with fanfare, but right here, right now. In this moment, and in the next, I hope you take it. And if you found something of value in our time together, something that stirred you, reminded you of your worth, or taught you something new, consider staying connected. Subscribe, leave a comment, share this with someone you care about. Not for me, but for the quiet revolution of people reclaiming their bodies one choice at a time. Because in the end, health is not about the grand gestures. It's about the seed you plant tonight and how you let it grow. After all is said and done, what does it really mean to take care of ourselves? It's easy to get lost in the noise: new diets, new supplements, biohacks, and headlines shouting for attention. But after decades of practicing medicine, and even more years simply observing life in all its fragility, I've come to believe that true health isn't found in extremes. It isn't built on fads or overnight changes. Instead, it's rooted in the ordinary. It's built in quiet moments of intention, moments like the one you're in right now. You see, this conversation about pomegranates was never just about a fruit. It was about the principle behind it, the power of small, deliberate actions. A single piece of fruit won't reverse years of neglect. But when that fruit becomes a part of a routine, a symbol of care, of awareness, of choosing nourishment over mindlessness, it starts to shape something much bigger. It becomes an act of self-respect, and over time, that respect ripples through every part of your life. Many people wait until something breaks to care. A diagnosis, a scare, a painful wake-up call. But healing doesn't begin in hospitals, it begins in homes, in kitchens, in bedrooms, just before you turn off the light. It begins when you say, "Tonight, I'll do one thing to support myself." That's where real transformation lives, in the seemingly insignificant decisions that, over time, become our new way of being. And the beautiful part, it doesn't require perfection. You don't need to become a health guru. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in a day. All you need is consistency, patience, and the belief that you are worth the effort. So here's the deeper truth I want to leave you with. Your health is not just about living longer, it's about living better. With more clarity, more energy, more peace. It's about creating the kind of body and mind that allow you to show up for your work, your family, your dreams with strength and purpose. It's about feeling like yourself again. Pomegranate, in this case, is just the doorway, a starting point. A reminder that nature already offers us what we need, if we're willing to slow down, listen, and say yes. The lesson is this: health is not one massive leap, it's 1,000 small steps. So choose just one tonight. Let it be thoughtful, let it be honest. Let it be a promise to your future self: I'm taking care of you, even in the little things. And how can you apply this? Start where you are. If it's not pomegranate, let it be water, or sleep, or turning off your phone an hour earlier. Choose something simple, something sustainable, something you can repeat tomorrow and the day after, until it becomes who you are, not just what you do. Before we part, I'd love to ask you a question. What's one small thing you do at night that helps you feel healthier or more at peace? Drink a cup of warm tea, read a few pages of a good book. Would you mind sharing your answer in the comments? Just type OB, and if it's something else entirely, feel free to tell us. It might inspire someone else to start a healthier habit too. If you found this video meaningful, if it gave you even one new perspective, I kindly ask you to subscribe to this channel. And if you're in a position to support this work financially, even with a small donation, it would mean the world to me. I'm no longer a practicing doctor, and I don't do this for profit. I do it because I still care, because I've seen too much to stay silent, and because if I can help even one more person live with more dignity and health, then it's worth it. Your support, whether it's a subscription, a comment, or a contribution, keeps this mission alive. Thank you, sincerely, for being here. Let's keep walking this journey together.